Hello everyone and welcome to this video related to transactionality. My name is Michal Novák and I'm part of Cisco ConfD SA team. Video deals with transactionality principles and adaptation of non-transactional devices. It is first part in our transactionality video series. There will be two other parts. Second part will introduce transactionality in Cisco Network Service Orchestrator NSO and device adaptation with ConfD Management Agent. Third part demonstrates example application as transactionality adaptation layer. Let's take a look at presentation content. First, we will look at transactionality principles and possibility to adapt non-transactional devices. We summarize common transactionality issues that should be considered. We describe term network-wide transaction used when more devices are connected to network orchestrator. At the end, we summarize what we have learned and provide references to the related resources. So let's get started. Basic transactionality concepts are probably well known to you. Let's summarize them. All operations in transaction are treated in an atomic way. This means all operations complete successfully, and if not, nothing would change to the system the transaction was running on. The system is restored to its original state. Transactionality is important to implement rollback support. Transaction can be seen as independent unit of work with ACID properties. These properties are atomicity, it means all operations within transaction are treated as single unit. Consistency, data is in consistent state. That means all data model constraints are fulfilled before transaction starts and after transaction finishes. Isolation means that concurrent transactions may be running and they do not influence each other. Durability, if transaction was done, it was done permanently. It wouldn't change even if system fails, for example after power failure. This requires transaction is recorded in some permanent memory. Now, let's take a look at transactionality in scope of devices. Device can be transactional. Such device supports transactions, usually implements transaction management protocol, for example, netconf. These devices can be easily integrated with network orchestrators without special adaptation. Transactional devices are well suited for programmability and automation. They usually support rollback or rollback is simple to implement. And there are devices that are not transactional. Transactions are not supported. This means one operation within transaction can bring device into failed state or into in-between state. Usually special knowledge is needed to configure such devices. Configuration commands must be sent in specific order. Commands must follow rules, otherwise they fail. Human operator is often required. Automation is difficult. They are expensive to operate. But we can also say they may be cheaper to develop. Such devices may evolve from successful proof of concept. Very often, they operate fine and may be performant, but not reliable from configuration point of view. There are a wide range of legacy systems too that do not support transactionality. Because of this, it makes sense to consider adding transactionality layer to non-transactional devices. As we have learned, transactional devices have advantage. For this reason, it's very often worth to adapt non-transactional device by adding transactionality layer, especially when such device performs well. This enables automation and programmability and simplifies to use device in network with other devices. There may be different approaches to implement transactional adaptation layer. One approach is to create proprietary application. This application can communicate with the device, or it can be even wired into device source code. Such implementation can be costly and can introduce new errors. Other approach is to use existing management agent with API that simplifies implementation of the transactional layer. For example, Cisco conf-d with its programmable APIs. The adaptation itself can be non-standard. That means it provides some non-standard transactional protocol. This protocol can be simple and easy to implement. On the other hand, network automation layer in Orchestrator has to learn it and make its own adaptation to it. Device cannot be easily plugged. This disadvantage disappears when standard management protocol like netconf is implemented. This is another reason to choose existing management system for device adaptation, as it usually supports standard protocols. Suggested approach is to look for management system with netconf support. Let's take a look at common transactionality issues or scenarios we need to deal with. These issues have to be considered when creating adaptation layer. Transaction fails due to dependency between elements in a single transaction. For example, you can't configure both A and B in the same transaction. You must configure elements in certain order. Transaction fails, but some device configuration was modified anyway. That means device is not restored to its original state. Transaction fails due to certain previously configured elements were not included in this particular transaction. Transaction fails due to dependency on a prior configuration. For example, element A isn't mandatory, but once created, you can delete it. Transaction fails due to dependency on operational state. For example, you can't configure A while the operational state of a component is down. Transaction succeeded, but the configuration on the device is different from what we have sent to the device. Device made additional configuration itself. This is called side effect. The difference can be caused also by configuration from other source, like device CLI. This is called out-of-band configuration. There was no transaction at all, but the configuration changed spontaneously. Let's define term network-wide transaction used in a network orchestrator, for example in Cisco NSO. The orchestrator can manage configuration and states of many devices at the same time. Devices can be of different types and vendors. The configuration is thus spread over all devices, can be seen as one large configuration of the whole system or network. We can call it network-wide configuration. Transaction over network-wide configuration can be called network-wide transaction. This requires all connected devices must ensure some level of transactionality, either native or added by some layer. Because of device diversity, network orchestrator must use its own adaptation layer to the device. Transactional devices with standard transactional network management protocol, like netconf, have advantage as orchestrator adaptation layer is simple and often can be generated from the data model. This is another reason for device transactionality adaptation with use of standard management protocol. We have described that transactionality is a key feature of configuration management. It's important not only from device point of view, but also from view of the whole network. Transactional devices with standard network management protocol can be easily integrated with network orchestrator. It's possible to use existing management agent like Cisco's conf-d to make non-transactional device transactional with full support of standard management protocol like netconf. Such device supports programmability and automation. There is a resource page on TLF site which contains various materials related to transactionality, young data modeling, programmability, automation, and configuration management with focus on conf-d and NSO. Conf-d is management agent that can help us to create transactional adaptation layer. It has conf-d basic edition that can be freely used. It supports netconf and can be a good choice to bring transactionality to the device. It has non-production CLI for development and troubleshooting. There is a community support for Confd Basic. Confd Premium features more northbound interfaces like RESTconf, WebUI, production CLI, and so on. It has commercial support. NSO is Network Service Orchestrator. Full NSO can be downloaded for non-production environment. This is the last slide of the video presentation. The video was first part of Transactionality series. You are welcome to watch next part, which is related to Cisco products, NSO and Confd. Thank you for watching.